Hey, this is Atlas here, composer and music producer, and today I'm going to be reacting, giving you my first impressions of not one but two tracks from Deltarune, which is It's TV Time and Rudder Buster. So let's check it out. Boom! Okay, massive 90s 16-bit era vibes already. Oh, mate. And those orchestral hits. Mate, this is so nostalgic. Oh my god. Just going on. Toby is going all in with the orchestral hit patch. I'll explain that later. Okay, let's pause it right there and let's talk about this a little bit. Okay, first things first, and maybe to come back and reiterate what I already said during the reaction, is that we have massive 90s vibes, 16-bit era soundtrack here. Very specifically, of course, Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. It's super nostalgic and gives you a lot of familiarity, especially if you're like you know, a millennial or a Gen X, or maybe even if you are from a newer generation but you actually played one of those games either from a family member like an uncle or an aunt, or even maybe your own parents as well. It can be a familiar kind of sound regardless of what generation you are, but you know, the target audience for this, I think it's pretty much the people that grew up with, you know, the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. Now, the other thing that I was mentioning was the Orchestral Hits patch, which is basically like a synthesizer preset, if you will, that was extremely popular during the last half of the 80s towards well into the 90s as well. And I couldn't help but think about the Teenage Ninja Turtles, the Turtles in Time game in the Super Nintendo, because I think it's one of the most iconic and emblematic games that makes heavy use of the orchestral hit. And it's so much so that I actually also quoted that same game in my Pizza Tower It's Pizza Time reaction. The synthesized orchestral hits. And the cool thing about the music as well is that it's not only mixing, it's not only like evoking a certain console, it's like evoking the 16-bit era, because the bass in the song sounds pretty much like the bass that you would hear in a Sega Genesis instead of the Super Nintendo. But I think it's like melding, you know, or weaving both of those sound chips into the song to make it even more of a universal feel, sort of. All right, let's keep listening. Oh, okay. Change quite a bit the storytelling here. It sounds dark and mysterious. It's like a chromatic progression there, which makes it sound more somber and heightens the tension of it. But now we hear more layers involved in it. Okay, that changed completely. The orchestral hits again. Even the melody, listen to the melody, it's more lively, it's more, should I say, optimistic, perhaps? Now, on top of what I already mentioned during the reaction, I want to add certain things that perhaps are common sense or are pretty obvious, but I'm going to build upon them to kind of get more into the storytelling of the track and whatnot. This track overall is really upbeat, has a high energy threshold, it has a degree, a vibe of ecstasy even. And I think the massive use of the orchestral hit patch gives it you know, this over-the-top musical touch to it that even adds more to that fire of the ecstasy of the song, because towards the resolution of the track, it really got into that climax of a song, like this big, super incredible finale or of sorts. Now, I do understand that this particular song pertains to a section of the game that's basically like a TV show or something like that. I mean, the song is called "It's TV Time," so I mean, it's you know, the name of the track is pretty aligned to what it pertains. But you know, I just saw some screenshots to where this song pertains, and obviously I do hear completely like the showmanship and the spectacle in the music, and that it's probably you know, the storytelling that is the music is supposed to have, because at the end of the day, in a video game, more often than not, is the music is like a vessel of a storytelling that is supporting what is actually going on in the gameplay. And something else that is very important to point out in the storytelling is that darker hue that we heard, that I was talking about, that had that sort of chromatic, descending chromatic progression, like that added not only a lot of contrast to what we heard before, you know, to that sort of spectacle, showmanship, ecstasy kind of thing, but it certainly drives the storytelling of the song to quite amount of degrees to something else, you know. And what I can think of is some sort of unpredictability that happens in the story of what you're playing in that part of the game, because the music is very lively at one point, you know, super high threshold energy, upbeat, you know. It gets more optimistic towards with the theme at the end, but at the beginning it's more about the showmanship and the spectacle. But then the tone of the song changes completely with that cue that I was talking about. So it certainly introduces a degree of something unexpected. You know, you don't expect it because you're coming from this with this cue of the track that is completely, well, I'm not gonna say completely, but it's somewhat divorced from that cue. And that darker side, it implies that there is something, there could be something hidden in the TV show. You know, maybe it is something sinister, like that the TV show has some sort of evil agenda or the host is pretends to be your friend, but it's actually the boss, an evil boss in the game or something like that. But regardless of the fact if I'm wrong on that regard or not, the fact is that that unpredictability element is there. and it's trying to give you like a premonition that there's something wrong, or something is about to go wrong, or maybe that cue actually comes in with something that takes you out of that enjoyment of enjoying the TV show or whatever, and takes a darker turn. All right, now let's listen to Rudderbuster. Let's check it out. This has huge Latin spice. Latino flavor. Oh yeah, totally. Listen to those chords. Yeah, this is like a moodier track, but it has that sassy, moodier sound of Latin music, like salsa, merengue. Yeah, even listen to the phrasing. Mate, Toby does such great phrasing and melodies in general. That was awesome. Now, like I did mention during the reaction, yes, completely, the song has this Latino spice flair into it. It's like completely infused with it. But that is primarily not only because of the chord progression, but because of the rhythm, you know, the super Latin spice in there, like so much. But here's the thing: the chord progression, it has this moodier sound, this moodier vibe, which makes the song sound a little bit more somber. But by somber, I don't want to make you imagine like it's like some evil boss or something like that. It's just this kind of, yeah, it's like this moodier, more kind of a playful seriousness. Let's put it that way, okay? And actually, if we listen to the chords, you know, outside of the actual song itself, you can hear that, you know, it has a little bit of moodiness in it, but it's not like entirely dark. Like it's more of a sassy, sexy sound, so to speak. And then if we go to the other one, which would be something like, right here, you have a really close interval. You know, there is a dissonance here, which adds a lot of tension to the chord. But at the same time, when you play it completely, sorry, that sounded like Batman. There. You know, it opens up a little bit. It becomes a little bit more accessible when you add this note right here. So, obviously, when you play them in a chord progression, this one has a little bit more of the darkness that I was talking about. But the Latin rhythm in the progression makes the song super upbeat and super, you know, danceable even. You know, you want to dance to the song. So it's not even like, I wouldn't say it's like a contrast, but it's just the way Latin music is. It has that moodiness because, you know, a lot of Latin music does have, you know, that very danceable, that very move your body kind of rhythms, but harmonically they are moodier and they are more, this has this sexy darkness in it, so to speak. Now, in terms of the storytelling, to be honest with you, I don't really know where it could go. It could go so many places because like I said, Rudder Buster doesn't really tell me anything from the name itself, so I'll confess that I'm a little bit lost here. But if there's anything that I can say about the storytelling as well, is that maybe the upbeat, lively rhythm, or the upbeat Latin rhythm that we hear kind of serves as a mask or a shadow to a more darker, moodier storytelling that is below, or you know, behind that mask, so to speak. But I don't know. So that's gonna be it for today. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, I want to remind you that I've been streaming often here in YouTube. We have been doing video game music request streams. We have been doing video game music tournaments, video game music quiz, and also I've been playing Undertale in the streams as well. So I will advise you to follow me on X, join my Discord server, and be on the lookout as well on my community tab, or just turn notifications on here in YouTube so you know where I'm going live during the week, okay? And with that being said, check this other Undertale reaction that I did, all right? I'll see you there.